Let me ask you something. What if the one who saves a life isn't a firefighter, or a doctor, or even a human at all? What if that hero walks on four legs? What if it's a dog? But not just any dog. I'm talking about a dog no one believed in. A dog they said was broken, dangerous, too scarred by war to ever trust again. A dog abandoned by the system, locked away behind rusted bars, waiting, watching, silent, until one day he met a little girl. Her name was Leah, 6 years old. Curious eyes, a laugh that could light up any room. She was innocent, she was fragile, and she was dying. No one knew it, not her parents, not the doctors, but the dog. He knew. His name was Shadow. And this is the story of how he saved her life. Not with words, not with medicine, but with instinct and love and something deep inside him, something even he didn't understand. But before we begin, before you hear what really happened that rainy afternoon, I need you to do one thing. Stop what you're doing right now. Subscribe to K9 Miracle Story. Look, I know, you've heard it before, but this is different. Thousands of people watch these true stories. Stories of courage, loyalty, survival. They watch, they feel something, and then they leave without subscribing. Don't be that person. This isn't just another channel. This is a family. A place where we celebrate real-life animal heroes. Where we honor the bond between humans and the animals who never give up on us. Subscribing doesn't cost a thing. It takes one click, 1 second, but it means everything to us. And to these stories that deserve to be told, when you subscribe, you're not just watching. You're helping keep these stories alive. You're making sure Shadow's sacrifice is never forgotten. So do it now. Click subscribe. Click the bell icon. Join the K9 Miracle Story family. Because today's story is one you'll never forget. And trust me, when you hear what Shadow did, you'll understand why we tell these stories. Why we can't stop. Why we won't stop. Now, are you ready? Because I'm about to take you into a world you didn't know existed. A world where loyalty runs deeper than blood. Where instincts are sharper than any machine. Where a dog no one wanted became the only one who could save her. But I'll warn you, this story isn't easy. There's pain. There's loss. And there's a moment, a single moment, where everything could have gone wrong. And if Shadow hadn't acted, if he hadn't seen what no one else could, Liao wouldn't be here. The question is, how did he know? What did Shadow sense? In her skin, her breath, her touch, that made him rise, risk everything, and carry her 2 miles through pouring rain to save her life? Stay with me, because by the end of this story, you will believe in something bigger, in loyalty, in courage, in the quiet heroes we often overlook. And maybe, just maybe, you'll see your own pets differently. Because who knows, the next time you look into their eyes, you might wonder, what would they do if it were you who needed saving? Let's find out. Before he met Leah, before he became a hero, Shadow was something else entirely. He was a soldier, not by choice, not by birth, but by training and by duty. Shadow was born in a military kennel, raised for war, taught to sniff out bombs, track enemies, and never, ever hesitate. His early years were filled with commands. Sit, stay, search, attack. He learned fast, too fast. Trainers called him special, said he had a sixth sense, an edge that made him different. But what made Shadow great also made him dangerous. He didn't just follow orders, he anticipated them, felt things, saw things, before anyone else did. By the time he was 2 years old, Shadow was deployed. Afghanistan, hot air, dust storms, silence before chaos. His handler was a man named Travis. Strong, calm, a quiet type just like Shadow. They bonded quickly, day and night, side by side, patrolling villages, clearing roads, sleeping in foxholes. Travis trusted Shadow more than any human. And Shadow? He would have given his life for Travis. In many ways, he did. It happened on a routine patrol. sun blazing overhead. Travis, Shadow, and three other soldiers moved through an abandoned compound. Shadow stopped, ears perked, nose twitching. He growled, low warning. Travis raised his hand. The unit froze. "What is it, boy?" Travis whispered. Shadow pulled on his leash toward a pile of rubble. They didn't see it at first. No wires, no signs. But Shadow did. Beneath the rubble, a hidden pressure-triggered IED. Travis radioed it in. Bomb squad arrived. Defused it. Everyone lived. Everyone praised Shadow. He was called a hero. But Shadow didn't care about medals. He only wanted one thing. Travis's hand on his head. That soft pat. That quiet good boy. That was everything. But war doesn't wait. The next mission came fast. And this time, Shadow wasn't quick enough. It was a convoy ambush. Gunfire. Explosions. Screams. Shadow and Travis were riding in the second Humvee. The explosion ripped through the vehicle. Metal. Fire. Shrapnel. Shadow survived. Barely. He crawled from the wreckage, limping, burned. But Travis, he was gone. Shadow howled. A sound no one forgets. They found him lying next to Travis's body, refusing to move, refusing to leave. It took two men to pull him away. After that day, Shadow changed. He wouldn't eat, wouldn't obey, snarled at handlers, destroyed his cage. The military called it combat stress, said he was unfit for duty, too aggressive, too unstable. So they shipped him back. No ceremony, no farewell, just a number, just a file. They sent him to a shelter, labeled non-adoptable, stamped his cage, caution, do not touch. And for months, Shadow waited, alone, haunted, remembering Travis, remembering the smell of that battlefield, and that chemical, the one that killed his handler. He never forgot it. That sharp metallic scent burned into his memory, because deep down, he knew one day he might need to smell it again, and when he did, he wouldn't fail. Not this time. Far from war zones, in a quiet town called West Pine, lived a little girl named Leah, 6 years old, tiny frame, 2 missing teeth, hair always tied in a messy ponytail. She loved rainbows. She loved fairy tales. And she loved her old stuffed bear, Smokey. To Leah, Smokey was more than a toy. He was her best friend. She told him everything. Her secrets, her fears, her dreams. Every night, she'd whisper stories into his worn-out ears, curled up under a blanket, safe in her little world. But Leah's world wasn't perfect. Her dad, Mike, was a long-haul trucker, gone for days, sometimes weeks, chasing paychecks that barely covered the bills. Her mom, Jenna, cleaned houses, up at dawn, back by sunset. Tired eyes, aching hands. They loved Leah deeply, but love didn't pay rent. And time was never enough. Leah understood. She never complained, never asked for toys or trips or treats. She just wanted time. A bedtime story, a family dinner, a hug that lasted more than a minute. Saturdays were her favorite, her family day. Sometimes they went to the park. Sometimes just watched cartoons together. One Saturday morning, Leah woke up scratching her arms. "Mommy, the itchies are back," she said. Jenna glanced at her skin. Red spots. Faint, like bug bites. "Must be allergies, sweetheart. Let's get you some lotion." Leah nodded, but the itch didn't stop. That day, Mike came home early. Tired, unshaven, but smiling. He lifted Leah into his arms. "My little explorer, want to go on an adventure today?" Leah's eyes lit up. "Where?" He grinned. "There's a dog shelter on the edge of town. Thought we could go pet some puppies." Leah squealed with joy. "Yes, yes, yes." Mike and Jenna exchanged glances. They weren't planning to adopt. They could barely afford groceries. But Leah had been so quiet lately, so tired. A visit might cheer her up. Later that afternoon, they drove past the old gas station. past a rusted silo. He followed her from room to room, waited by the bathroom door, sat under the table at breakfast. Every laugh she made, his ears perked. Every cough, he stiffened. And then the itchies returned. It started small. Red patches on Leah's arms. She scratched until they bled. Must be eczema, Jenna said. They tried creams, ointments. Nothing worked. Shadow watched her scratch, watched her wince. One night, he nudged her arm with his nose, sniffed, growled softly. Jenna pulled him away. Stop, boy. You'll scare her. But he didn't stop. Leah grew tired. She napped during cartoons. Didn't want to eat. Her eyes lost their sparkle. Shadow became restless. He sniffed her clothes, her bed sheets, her pillows. And then the bear, Smokey, the old, ragged toy she slept with every night. Shadow sniffed it, paused, sniffed again. Then a growl, low, dangerous. He snatched the bear in his jaws, shaking it. Shadow, no. Leah screamed. He dropped it, stepped back, ears flat. Leah cried. Mike was furious. This dog isn't right. But Leah held Shadow's face in her tiny hands. He's not bad. He's trying to help. No one believed her. But Shadow, he knew something was wrong. Very wrong. By the end of the week, Leah wasn't the same. Her smile faded. Her laughter grew quiet. She didn't run, didn't dance, didn't play. Instead, she lay curled up on the couch, clutching Smokey, eyes half closed, whispering to herself. Jenna noticed first. Sweetheart, are you okay? Leah nodded, but her forehead was warm. Jenna touched her skin, then her arms. The red welts had returned. Worse now, angry, swollen. They covered her arms, her neck, her chest. Mike, Jenna whispered, come look at this. Mike stepped in, his face pale. It's just a rash, right? But Jenna knew this was no ordinary rash. That night, Shadow wouldn't rest. He paced. He circled Leah's bed. Every few minutes, he sniffed her hands, her face, her pillow. He growled. Low, constant, alert. At 2:17 a.m., Shadow sat by Leah's bed, eyes locked on Smokey. The bear, the same bear he tried to destroy days earlier. Shadow sniffed again, this time longer. Then he barked, a loud, sharp bark. Mike stormed in. Shut him up, Jenna. The neighbors will call the cops. Jenna rushed in. Leah sat up, crying. Shadow's scared, Mommy. Jenna hugged her tight. It's okay, baby. He's just being silly. But Shadow wasn't silly. He was desperate, and no one listened. The next morning, Leah didn't wake up on time. Her cereal bowl sat untouched. Milk went warm. Her hands shook. She tried to walk. Fell. Shadow ran to her. Nudged her. Whined. Leah looked up, eyes glassy. I feel tired. Jenna rushed over. Felt her head. Burning. Mike. She's burning up. They grabbed the car keys. But then, before they could move, Leah collapsed. Her small body hit the floor. Smokey landed beside her. Shadow barked, loud, urgent. Mike froze. Jenna screamed. Shadow nudged Leah's face. Whined. Licked her cheek. No response. Then, Shadow stood tall. His body tensed. Decision made. He lowered himself beside her. Waited. Gently slid his head under her arms. Lifted her. Mike shouted, What is he doing? Jenna gasped. But Shadow didn't wait. He carried Leah slowly, carefully, toward the door. And without hesitation, he walked into the rain. The sky was dark. Thunder rolled overhead. Rain fell in sheets, soaking the ground. And out in that storm, a lone figure moved. A German shepherd, carrying a child. Shadow's paws splashed through puddles. His breath came heavy. But he didn't stop. Leah's limp arms draped over his neck. Her head rested on his back. Her skin was hot. Too hot. Her breathing, shallow, uneven. Shadow knew. Time was running out. Back at the house, Mike and Jenna stood frozen. What just happened? Jenna gasped. He took her. Mike shouted. That dog took our daughter. Panic surged. They grabbed keys, ran to the truck. But Shadow was already gone. Out on the road. Cars passed. People stared. Some honked. Some slowed. A soaked dog, carrying a small child through the rain? Unbelievable. Someone shouted, Hey, is that dog carrying a girl? A woman pulled out her phone, dialed 911. Shadow kept moving. 2 miles, across gravel roads, through alleys, over broken sidewalks. Every step careful, every breath determined. His legs burned. Rain blurred his vision. But he didn't stop. Couldn't stop. He remembered this smell, this fear, this urgency. It was like war again. But this time, he wouldn't lose. Not Leah. Ahead, sirens wailed. Flashing lights cut through the storm. Paramedics spilled out of an ambulance. They saw him, a German shepherd, soaked, shaking, and a child, barely conscious, on his back. They froze. One whispered, Is he delivering her to us? Shadow approached. Slow, careful. He lay down, gently slid Leah onto the ground. Paramedics rushed forward. Shadow growled, sharp, fierce. One nurse knelt. Soft voice. It's okay, boy. We've got her now. Shadow looked into her eyes, then stepped back. As they lifted Leah, Shadow sat, still as stone, eyes locked on her face, watching, waiting, praying, in the only way a dog can. The ER doors burst open. Nurses swarmed. Machines beeped. Voices echoed. Fever 104. Pulse weak. Rash spreading. Leah's small body lay on the table. Pale. Still. Doctors stared at the welts on her skin. They'd seen rashes before. Not like this. Tests were ordered. For drips started. But no one had answers. What is this? One whispered. An allergic reaction? Infection? Another shook her head. Doesn't make sense. It's systemic. Something toxic. Jenna and Mike stood nearby, shaking, tears streaming. She was fine just days ago. Jenna sobbed. She just had a rash. Mike clutched her hand, his knuckles white. No one noticed Shadow. He sat by the ER doors, dripping wet, watching, his eyes locked on Leah. He whined, low, Urgent. A nurse approached. He won't leave, she said gently. The doctor sighed. Let him stay for now. Hours passed. No diagnosis. No answers. Leah's breathing slowed. Her pulse weakened. Jenna collapsed into Mike's arms. I can't lose her. Shadow stood suddenly, tail stiff. He barked once, loud, sharp. Everyone turned. He darted toward Jenna's bag, sniffed, barked again. Mike stepped forward. What is it, boy? Shadow nosed the bag, pulled out something soft, something familiar. Smoky. Leah's stuffed bear. Jenna gasped. She's had that bear since forever. Shadow growled, grabbed it, dropped it at the doctor's feet. The doctor picked it up, frowned. The fur was damp, sticky. He sniffed it, paused. What's that smell? A metallic scent. Faint, but sharp. Chemical. The doctor's eyes widened. Get this to the lab now. Minutes later, an answer. Toxic industrial adhesive. Soaked into the bear's fur. Absorbed through Leah's skin. Night after night. Jenna gasped. Mike, your truck. Mike's face turned white. I spilled cargo last week, glue barrels. I didn't know it got on anything. Jenna whispered. You brought it in the house. Mike fell to his knees. Oh, God. I poisoned her. Shadow growled. Not at Mike. Not at Jenna. At the bear. The same scent. The same toxin he remembered from war. The one that killed his handler. Shadow knew. Long before any machine. Long before any test. He knew. And he saved her. 3 days later, that opened her eyes. The room was quiet. Sunlight filtered through the curtains. Machines beeped softly. Her hand twitched. She whispered, Shadow? Jenna rushed to her side. Tears spilled. "Oh, baby, you're awake." Mike stood behind her, eyes red, smiling through sobs. Leah blinked. "Where's Shadow?" "Down the hallway." Shadow waited. Hospital staff tried to keep him outside. He wouldn't leave. Every time a door opened, he looked up. Every time a stretcher passed, he stood, waiting. Finally, they let him in. When Leah saw him, her eyes lit up. "Shadow." He trotted to her side, laid his head on her bed. She reached out, weak fingers brushing his ear. "You saved me," she whispered. Shadow didn't move. Didn't need to. He knew. Word spread fast. Doctors called it a miracle. Reporters showed up. Cameras flashed. The headline? Rescue Dog Saves Child from Hidden Poison. News anchors called Shadow a hero. The internet called him a legend. A local paper ran the story. The dog who knew. But Shadow didn't care about fame. He only cared about Leah. Crossland Trucking faced investigation. Mike confessed everything. The glue spill. The contaminated bear. Public outrage followed. Lawsuits. Fines. Reforms. A new law passed in West Pine. Mandatory toxin screening for all freight materials entering homes. They called it the Shadow Protocol. Leah recovered. Slowly. The welts faded. Her laughter returned. But the nightmares didn't. Sometimes she'd wake up crying, screaming. Shadow was always there. Calm. Steady. He'd rest his head on her chest. And she'd fall asleep again, safe. Months later, Shadow was officially registered. Emotional support animal. Custom badge. Custom vest. But to Leah, he was more than that. He was family. Their story inspired thousands. Letters poured in. Gifts. Drawings. People shared their own tales. Of pets who saved them. Of animals who understood what humans missed. And it all began with one broken dog and one little girl. Not all heroes wear capes. Some walk on four legs. Shadow wasn't born to be a hero. He was trained to fight, hardened by war, broken by loss. But when it mattered most, he didn't run. He didn't hide. He listened. He acted. And he saved a life. Not just any life. Leah's life. A child everyone else would have lost. All because no one could see what a dog could smell. Ask yourself this. If Shadow hadn't been there, what would have happened? Would Leah have survived? Would anyone have known the bear was poison? Sometimes the smallest things hide the biggest dangers. And sometimes it takes a dog to see the truth. Now I want to ask you something. Have you ever seen an animal become a hero? Have you ever felt your pet knew something before anyone else did? Maybe they saved you. Maybe they comforted you. Maybe they stood by you when no one else would. Tell us your story in the comments. We read every single one. Because here on K9 Miracle Story, it's not just about watching. It's about belonging. Don't be the person who hears this and scrolls away. If you believe animals are more than pets, if you believe they're family, then hit that subscribe button right now. Join a growing community that honors loyalty, bravery, and heart, like this video. Share it with someone who needs hope. And don't leave without commenting your own miracle. Because next time, we're sharing another true tale of courage. And you don't want to miss it. Subscribe now. Stay with us. And together, let's keep celebrating these incredible creatures, one miracle at a time.